Okay, everybody, we are going to talk about relations and functions day 2. We are going to talk more about functions today. Yesterday, we talked about relations. So a function is a relation in which each element of the domain is paired with exactly one element in the range. And so what that is saying, just to kind of change the verbiage there for you, x values cannot repeat. The domain is your x values. The range is your y values. So your x's cannot repeat. Your y's are allowed to repeat, but your x's are not allowed to repeat. So that is very important. So that domain are x's, the range is y's. And those x values cannot repeat. That's really the most important thing there. If you don't write all of that stuff down, your x values cannot repeat is really the most important part. So if we look at these examples, if I look at the domain, this is your x value, the range is your y value. There's no repeating numbers in the domain, and that's great. If we look at the graph, we can see that each x only occurs once. There's nothing going this way where you have two x's on the same line, but with just different y values. So we are only going to look for those specific things. Now, the vertical line test helps us with a graph. The vertical line test, I want to change colors, helps us to determine if something is a function. Helps determine if a function, if it's been graphed. You can always graph it too if we give you points or something like that, but I find that you can either just check to see if the x's repeat or do the vertical line test. That vertical line test says, or does, I should say, that if a vertical line intersects the graph more than once, if it crosses the same line graph more than once, then the graph is not a function. Not a function. So we are looking for vertical lines that cross the graph more than once. It is not a function. So what that looks like is if I look at my graph, I'm going to look at this graph on the left-hand side first. I'm going to draw a bunch of vertical lines. So lines that go up and down. Each one of those only hits once. So yes, this is a function. Yes, function. If they were to hit more than once on the same line, then it is not a function. So we're going to try a different graph here. So doing the graph in the middle, again, just going up and down. And as you can see, the same vertical line hits the graph into places. So this is not a function. And we have a third one here. Again, doing a vertical line test. Boom, 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 boom. That passes, and some may say, well, what about this point and this point? If I draw a vertical line, it touches both of them. This is true, but when you have an open dot, it's not actually on that point. It's just getting really close to it. And a closed dot. So you can have one open dot and closed dot on the same line, and that's okay. If they were two closed dots, that would not work. So for example, let me draw a little version of that here. If I had one that was going this way and one that way. That is a no. And if you have a graph that's got like a long vertical line on it, that won't work as well. That would not make it a function. So this one is also, this is a yes function.